Hey, Year 11. We're going to start chapter 8 today, which is recursion. And basically, what that means is just recognizing different patterns of numbers. So, as you can see, the title of today's exercise is number patterns. So, what you might notice here is we've got a list of numbers. One of the things that you're going to be required to do is try to work out different patterns that they might have. So, how do we get from 1 to 2? How do we get from 2 to 4? How do we get from 4 to 8? It's going to be like the same sort of thing each time. But let's quickly look at some of the keywords that you're going to have to know as well. So a sequence, you're going to hear this word all the time. It's a list of numbers in a particular order. So if you look at the list of numbers above, this whole thing here, all of them together, and the sequence could continue, it's called a sequence. Right, so we're going to be looking at sequences of numbers. The next thing we need to know is what term means. Now, a term, each number in a sequence is called a term. So in this sequence here, each one of these is a term. So this individual number here, 1, that's the first term. Okay, now the third dot point I've got here, a rule-based sequence. It's a sequence that is produced by a rule. So if we look at this one here, we've got a sequence here and a sequence here. We can see that the rule is we're minusing 2 from the previous number. So you can see we're going 20, we minus 2 to get 18, minus 2 to get 16, minus 2 to get 14, etc. This one over here, it's another sequence, but it looks a bit different. For this one, the rule is that you halve the previous number. So to go from 400 to 200, you're halving. From 200 to 100, you're halving. 100 to 50, etc. Okay, so there's the sequences, and the rule is that we're halving the previous number, for this one anyway. The next thing we need to make sure we know is that each term in a sequence actually has a name. So we've got a little sequence here. We can see with this sequence, we start at 3, and we're just going up 3 each time. So plus 3 to get 6, plus 3 to get 9, plus 3 to get 12, etc. But each of these different terms has a name. Can you see above, I've written T1, T2, T3, etc. So the first term is called T1. The second term is called T2. So if you want the 100th term, that's T100. If you want the 1000th term, that's T1000. Okay, so hopefully that's pretty straightforward. Let's actually have a little bit of a look at some of the examples or some questions that are similar to what you might have to do. So what we have here is, it's a little bit of a pattern. So we've got one shape, next shape, the next shape. Now, for question A, it wants us to draw the next shape. So hopefully we can see that the first shape's just one square, second shape's 2 squares connected, third shape's 3 squares connected. So I'm guessing the fourth shape is going to be 4 squares connected. So let me quickly draw that. So this is what I think the fourth shape's going to look like. I'll put a number 4 above there. So we're done with that one. Write the sequence for the number of lines needed to make each shape. Okay, so if we look at shape 1, that needed 4 lines, didn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's our first term. For the next shape, it needed, I think it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So that's the next term. The third shape, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And for the fourth, it looks like we need 13. Alright, awesome. Can you see that it looks like, with our number pattern here, or our sequence, that 4 is our first term, and then we're going up 3 each time? To go from 4 to 7, you plus 3. To go from 7 to 10, you plus 3. To go from 10 to 13, you plus 3. That's the pattern that's just going to continue if we put an extra shape on the end. So question C, find the number of lines needed to make shapes 4 and 5. We already worked out that 4 is 13. And if we're adding 3 each time to make 5 shapes, to make the fifth shape, we're going to need 16 lines. That's just the next term in the sequence. Alright, now D, give the first number and the rule for this sequence. Right, so the first number we saw was 4, because there's 4 lines in that first shape. So I'll say here First number's 4. Is 4. And it wanted the rule as well. So the rule would be we add 3 to the previous number, because it was going up 3 every time. All right, and that is it. So you'll be able to have a go at those questions on your work schedule. Thanks, Year 11.